Salutations everyone, this is Razor giving you guys a quick little rundown of Smash Factor 5 that took place in Mexico, where MK Leo took another tournament here in Mexico. We don't see him travel to America and he hasn't won in Canada, but when it comes to Mexican tournaments, he is the guy to beat. Traveling down there was mr.R and Buzz getting second and third respectively. We got Womf with the fourth place using that Sonic. Bedgar with the Sheik, fifth. You got Surge with the Lucario. We also got Javi with that Sheik, and Reggie rocking that Game & Watch, showing up what the little two-dimensional guy can do for us. So it was a rather interesting tournament, especially seeing what Leo can still do against the likes of some of your better American players like Buzz and mr.R. We got to see the Marth a little bit more, especially against Sheik. Now, when it comes to that matchup, Sheik can't kill, we know that, and Marth with the Tipper compounds that problem. The fact that he's going to be at such a high percent before he can be killed, combat that with the rage that he gets, plus the Tipper component of it, it's going to be a very difficult matchup for Sheik. He's got the jab 1 to F smash, and Marth can simply just Dolphin Slash out of a lot of Sheik's bread and butter combos that we saw many people going for. And with Leo, he wasn't approaching, he was waiting for Bedgar to pick an option and then start with those juggles. He was getting Tipper Fairs and doing a lot of falling up airs to set up for of their juggles, and wasn't relying on smash attacks to kill. It was basically back airs off of the ledge and up airs off the top and occasional Tipper Fairs on offstage game. When it comes to mr.R going up against Buzz, this is, one of those back and forth kind of matches. mr.R really optimized his killing Luma tactics using the dash attack, Fairs, and especially Vanish. Combine the damage that Vanish does plus the Wind Box, really, it took out Luma a lot all by itself. He was using Vanish a lot for those edgeguard opportunities, which you can do against Rosalina because it doesn't have a hitbox on the up special where she is quite vulnerable, and he can take out Luma in many of those situations. So he made it quite hard for Buzz in a few of those matches. Of course, Buzz, sometimes he gets those early kills, those up air to up tilt to up air, killing at 38%, absolutely ridiculous things like that. But mr.R played a very patient game, of course doesn't have as much practice against Rosalina as Buzz has against Sheik's. Buzz has really optimized that matchup and I think is quite much in Rosalina's favor still. I mean, I think a lot of people, including Zero, said it was so pre-patch, but after the patch, Rosalina definitely has the advantage in that. But mr.R was definitely able to do a really good job against Luma and finishing off those stocks pretty much as early as he could do against Rosalina, who is of course one of your lighter characters, and was able to pull that one off. We have Leo versus Womf. Womf is the one who sent Leo to losers on winner side 3-2. They did Marth versus Sonic the first 3 games, then Cloud versus Sonic, then Cloud versus Bayonetta. In loser semis, Leo goes to Meta Knight against the Bayonetta in game 1, and then in game 2, it was Meta Knight versus Sonic, and same thing in game 3, and Leo was able to stomp him out 3-0 on the run back after being sent to losers 3-2. And his up airs into Nair combos or into Shuttle Loop were just destroying that Sonic. There was nothing that he could do. The up air combos were doing perfectly off stage. He would up air into Nair to get the kill at a pretty low percent, and he would go do it on the other side. And when it comes to the just straight up above the stage, he would go into up air strings into Shuttle Loop and close out those stocks. So easily handled him on the loser side of things, which set up for the match of Leo and Buzz. Leo, of course, with the Meta Knight, is definitely the best matchup against Rosalina and Luma, so that matchup is definitely within his favor, if he still sticks with the Meta Knight, which we see him kind of losing the confidence once he loses one game with Meta Knight, he'll drop off of it, and we've seen that a little bit with Dabuz as well, more recently, sticking to go with Olimar. So Dabuz loses confidence, switches to Olimar, and gets bodied in the first stock, but he brings it back and ends up winning game 2. Then Leo switches to Cloud to combat Olimar, wins game 3 pretty handily. Then it's back to Rosalina versus Cloud in game 4, and again, Dabuz shows that Cloud is not a counterpick to Rosalina, at least not his. Until game 5, where for once, a Cloud actually does defeat Dabuz's Rosalina and Luma, which so many people says is a counterpick that's a thing, when we haven't seen anything against Dabuz to further that claim. But once the Leo is using the Limit Blade Beam, which I definitely do want to see more players use, more of those Cloud players. Anti definitely showed a lot of people why they should use it at CEO, and Leo picked that up in the first stock at Game 5. He got him with the Limit Blade Beam, and then he pulled out the Limit Cross Slash to take out Dabuz at a very sweet combo to send him out of the tournament, where Leo went to Grand Finals against mr.R, where he resets the brackets 3-0 and ends up beating him 3-2. So in Game 1, Marth versus Sheik, we've got to see this matchup. It's gone either way, but it's definitely within Marth's favor. The last 2 matchups between mr.R Sheik versus Leo's Marth, Leo won the first one 3-0, and he lost the second set 2-3. So it was very close, much in Marth's favor. And with this matchup, he goes at it again, easily handling mr.R Sheik, again, going with the Marth, just like he did against Bedgar, and takes it 3-0. He took the first game with a tippered fair and up air. He wins game 2 with a tippered fair and tippered dancing blade side finisher. And in a very close game 3, it's a tippered bear and a tippered up air. So definitely spacing it out very perfectly, being patient, and really not allowing mr.R to do the combo game that he definitely needs to, at least on more neutral stages for Sheik. So after the bracket gets reset, mr.R gets his composure back, and he 2-stocks Leo Marth on Smashville, aka Sheikville as many people would call it. Now, that causes Leo to go to the Meta Knight, which I wish he would stop switching off of Meta Knight, especially when he starts set strong, but he did 3-0 him in the first set with Mark, so you cannot blame him for sticking with Marth even on Smashville. But after that first loss, he goes to Meta Knight and proceeds to combo the ever-living hell out of mr.R and 2-stocks him right back. Game 3, Leo does his best Dante Bosco impression and goes Rufio on mr.R, which is really cool to see, and then Shuttle Loop for another 2-stock. mr.R comes back to force Game 5, winner take all, where Leo wins it in a 2-stock on the Dreamland counterpick. So that's another victory for Mexico's Leo. He's got the home field advantage, and he's won all the tournaments that we've seen him, even against some of our high-ranked players who have traveled down south. But still, it might seem that this little man who just turned 15 is getting a bit big for his britches, stating himself that he thinks he's in top 5 in the world, probably top 3, which I don't think you could say when you only win in your own home turf, you don't win in Canada, and you don't even go to America. So, and he hasn't even faced everybody. He hasn't faced the top 5 players in the world, let alone beat them to consider himself part of that group, or especially top 3. I think he's definitely dreaming. You may say, the times that he's beaten mr.R or Dabuz, that, hey, he's beaten everybody that he's faced, which isn't true, but at least in Mexico he has. So maybe he is the best, and you could be right, but he isn't facing anybody else. He's not leaving his home field, and he isn't getting a lot of competition. He's not getting a lot of the matchups that he's not used to, which you see in all of the majors in America or in Canada or in Japan. So I definitely think he definitely has a lot to prove before we can even consider him to be in top 5, because I don't think he can be in that conversation right now based off of his lack of results outside of his home country and the lack of people that he's even faced overall. The people that he's lost to, that he hasn't beaten, such as Zero, and I don't think deserves to be in that conversation right now, but it would be better, it would be nice to see him travel to tournaments. I understand he is a young boy, and doesn't have the freedom of traveling as many other people do, but that's the breaks. And I really like his Meta Knight. He showed that Marth is an even more viable character than other people realized after seeing Pugwest and Mr. E do so well, and CEO or Mr. E's Marth beats Zero. But Marth, maybe it's a counter pick to Sheik. Who knows? He did very well, was very patient, and was spacing out for those kill options. So anyways, that was Smash Factor 5. A very fun tournament, regardless of the people that were there. We could see a Game & Watch, do some crazy stuff with the Toot Toots and all that good stuff. And as well as mr.R and Jubuzz pretty much being at their best and still being bested by the likes of Leo.